Hey guys, welcome to PhoneArena's in-depth video review of the LG Optimus T for T-Mobile. The unique thing about this entry-level handset is the fact that it sports a $29.99 on-contract pricing, so it's not going to cost you too much to experience Android. For $30, we're pretty satisfied with the overall construction and design of the LG Optimus T. It might look like any ordinary touchscreen phone out there from a quick glance, but we like the fact that it employs that soft touch coating material on the back and even on the sides. On top of that, it's average size and also in weight, and we like the fact that it just feels solidly built all around. Powering the handset, you're going to be greeted to its 3.2-inch HVGA capacitive touchscreen. So that's 320 by 480 pixels and support for 262,000 colors. Now for its size display, you're not going to have too much of a problem seeing in the smallest of text. On top of that, it does manage to do well in displaying some brilliant looking colors from what you could see. And even though the display feels a little bit on the plasticky side, it does a good job of registering your touch. But when you use it outdoors though, you're going to need to shield it away from the sun, and it does offer some decent viewing angles. Right below the touchscreen, you have your dedicated buttons, physical ones. You have the menu, home, back, and search. They all offer a pretty good tactile response, a little bit more flush, but you can still make them out. Nothing on the left-hand side of the phone, while on the right, you simply have the volume rocker, a little bit difficult to press. Same thing applies to the dedicated power button on the top. It's just very small and kind of thin to make out. 3.5mm headset jack, and on the bottom you just have the micro USB port. And on the back you have the 3.2 megapixel autofocus camera, no flash, no self-portrait mirror, and removing the back cover will give you access to the battery, SIM card slot, and the micro SD card slot. By no means is it the fastest thing on the block, but the 600 MHz processor on the LG Optimus T does a decent job in just running the overall platform. It's the stock Android 2.2 experience that you're greeted to with some light customizations from LG. Initially there are 5 home screens, but you can modify that to 7 to your choosing. And of course there's all that personalization with various widgets that you could choose from. And you get the app panel right here, and as you can tell, just scrolling is pretty smooth. And for $30, you really can't beat the experience you get out of this handset. In terms of messaging, you can have 2 different options when it comes to inputting text. You have the swipe keyboard, which is shown right now, and you also have the stock Android keyboard. Now when you have predicted text enabled, there is a slight lag with it, so speedy texters out there will probably notice it a little bit more. When you flip it to landscape, you're going to obviously get the better, more spacious landscape keyboard, but there is still that noticeable slowdown with it. The music player on the handset is pretty typical of any other Android handset, so it'll display things like the album cover, song information, even the on-screen controls. Unfortunately, there is no equalizer settings, and the quality from the speaker is a little bit on the straining side, and on top of that, it's not as loud as we would have liked. Right now we have a video running here encoded in DivX 400 by 170 resolution, and honestly it does kind of strain a little bit. We managed to load up other videos in Xvid and even H.264. We did notice it's straining very much in high resolutions, but lower resolutions not going to have too much of a problem. For most people, the web browsing experience should be more than sufficient just because it's able to load up complex sites like ours in a fair amount of time. You can double tap to zoom into a specific area. It'll resize the text to fit the length of the display. Now, due to its processor, it doesn't exhibit the fastest scrolling rate, but it does offer multi-touch gesture support like pinch to zoom in, zoom out. There's no dedicated shutter key on the handset, so you're going to have to rely on the on-screen one here. Now, as far as the quality from its 3.2 megapixel camera, it's a little bit on the below average side. Outdoor conditions, there's a decent amount of sharpness to the shots, but unfortunately colors were a little bit on the softer side and kind of bland. Indoors, it doesn't get any better. You'll be able to shoot VGA videos with the handset, so that's 640 by 480 at a capture rate of 17 frames per second. Even though it's decent when it comes to just resolution, there is some noticeable pixelization going on. On top of that, the audio quality from the recorded video wasn't the best out there, and there is a slight stuttery movement to it. Thankfully, calling quality is pretty decent with the handset just because voices on our end sounded clear and distinct with no distortion through the earpiece. Unfortunately, it is kind of lacking in volume as it doesn't have the strongest tones. On the flip side, our callers did say our voices did sound also clear with no evidence of any distortion as well. When you switch to using the speakerphone, which is done through the main earpiece itself, it did still sound a little bit weak. Battery life is surprisingly decent just because we managed to get out a talk time of 6 hours and 45 minutes on a single charge when the manufacturer has it rated for 5 hours talk time. Now on a day-to-day use, you will get out a good 1 day's use out of it, but heavy users might want to constantly charge it. And on top of that, there is no automatic brightness setting, so you might want to lower it down if you want to conserve lots of battery power. Although we get a good amount of bars in high coverage areas here, we did notice the handset dropping a couple of calls during our testing. Now, the best thing going for the LG Optimus T is, of course, it's a $30 on contract price. You really can't beat that when you have Android 2.2 on board. The design and also the construction of the handset is pretty good for being something that's entry level. And for those looking for a simple solution that's not going to cost them too much out of the pocket, the LG Optimus T will undoubtedly be a fantastic solution for you. So if you'd like to learn more about this handset or for all the latest cell phone reviews, news, specs, and information, you can check us out at PhoneArena.com.